I welcome everyone. This is the Chat Footy podcast. We're back after a couple of weeks hiatus due to international break and a couple of other things going down personally. But myself and my good friend, as always, is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey, Chris. It's good to be back. So can't wait for this episode to discuss some of the fixtures that we've had. And I'm particularly looking forward to the Fellaini watch, I think.
Yeah, well, actually, because obviously it's been a few weeks for any of the listeners. You know, the last time we did a podcast, I was literally not on Fellaini watch. I was on suicide watch because United lost 2 games, and then the whole time we haven't done the podcast for a couple of weeks, United have won. So we agree we're going to do a podcast, and then United draw. So I'm just like, it's got to be the podcast, Dave. I'm sorry, it's got to be.
Well, I think we should do it twice a week then.
Good old Ben is Ben's not here at the moment. He may join late on. His daughter's got a birthday party, which we understand, but he's raring to go on this one, Dave. He's dying to get on. So I'm really not looking forward to this week at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd said, what was it? The first episode we did or something. I quite like seeing United get a few results here and there, and they'll probably be top 4, but they won't go. They won't be challenging under Mourinho. So I'm quite happy at the status quo at the minute. Just keep the results ticking along, just enough to keep the hope alive.
Which idiot decided to do a podcast with 2 Liverpool fans? Yeah, that's the question I ask myself every week, Dave.
I tell you what, Chris, this might be the worst season.
Well, Dave, I did actually swear in the last podcast, so I'm going to tell you to fuck off now. Because...
I can imagine in between now and the end of the season, there's going to be plenty of mother loving.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, he's going to end up being literally a 20-minute tirade of United. I'm sure we'll probably end up with loads of Liverpool fans listening to this just because you'll hear the meltdown from me.
Well, so should we start off? So looking back at the results, should we start off with United then? So did you? I didn't see that game, but did you see it? I saw some of the fallout, which I had a little wry smile about. But did you see the game?
Yeah, I watched all of it. I mean, to put a bit of meat on the bones, I know I've mentioned it before. I've been a season ticket holder for the last 8 years, and unfortunately, this season I've given it up, not because of Mourinho, purely financial reasons and wanting to do other things, which is, he's absolutely crucified me to give my season ticket up. And myself and my daughter have gone since she was 10 years old. So it's a hell of a crux, it's like anything, isn't it? You're a Liverpool fan. I'm sure it was the same situation, Dave. It's your team, it's your life, everything. Weekends and evenings are all about the football. But watching that yesterday, I was thinking after about 70 minutes, thank God I'm not sat there in my seat because, Wolves, to give them all the credit in the world, I honestly thought, because obviously Sir Alex was back at Old Trafford, which was a great thing. And, for me personally, lump in the throat job, nice thingy at the start to celebrating being back there, fist up to the crowd. I thought, this is it now. It's either going to be a Fergie time winner or we're going to steamroll them. The players are going to be up for it. And I tell you what, Dave, it was embarrassing. I mean, Wolves are a great team. They really, I'm not just saying that because they drew with us. They played well. They played the counter-attack. They played with no fear. And to be fair, I said to you last night on the WhatsApp, it should have been 3 or 4 to Wolves, if I'm being completely honest. They could have had, if they'd had better strikers, they'd have had a bag full, especially at the end. They were captains on the break, left, right and centre.
Yeah, I guess Wolves will surprise a few this year, won't they? I think we tipped them to do well on our Premiership opener episode. Yeah. So it's not that much of a surprise that they've gone there and got a result. And I think, this year they'll get top 10, but then they'll invest, or well, not just invest, but they'll make some smart signings in the summer as well. I'm not that, like you say, I'm not that impressed with the strikers they've got. I did see, again, I can't speak highly enough about that Neves.
Oh, yeah.
I did see there was like a 60-yard crossfield ball, just absolutely dropped it on a penny, for the player. And I just love watching him. I think he's brilliant.
No, he's good. He's good. And they had the tactics right. And I think I think the problem is, Dave, we've had this thing with, Pogba's won the World Cup and everything seems to be about Pogba at the minute, but there's too many players are just not good enough. I mean, that Lindelof at the back, I was hoping for such big things. I've seen him internationally. He's looked solid. He's an absolute disaster area. He looks like when we bought David May from Blackburn. He just looks devoid of confidence. And he got Small in there, who I know he scored last week, and flat said he said they're not good enough. They're just not good enough. And through the team, there's a load of lazy bastards playing, Dave. I'm sorry to say it, but there is. And Mourinho has got it wrong a lot of the times. And I just think, if you're going to have Fellaini there as your holding midfielder with Matic, if he's playing two deep line midfielders at home against Wolverhampton Wanderers, then there's got to be some serious questions start to be asked.
Yeah, I still think that, Mourinho's an outer possession type of coach. So, he's brilliant at stifling teams, setting them up so they're solid defensively. And usually he's had more money than everyone else to spend. So he's got absolute quality players in there that can take their chances when they come along. I think the problem comes when you do face a side that, is going to counter-attack you. It's going to defend deep initially and then try and hit you on the break. That's why I don't see that they'll be, challenging 1 and 2 positions this year.
I agree, Dave. I mean, we're 8 points behind you already and 6 behind City. So we've got to beat you both and then hope there's a swing somewhere else. And that's relying on us not getting beat by someone else, which I just can't. I can't see it. I don't think we've got the mental toughness at the moment. We really haven't. There's nothing there that suggests, we're going to go away. I know we beat City last year, but I just can't see us go to Anfield or anything and getting any positive result at the moment, which is sad.
Yeah, I guess, it's September though, isn't it? 8 points is nothing really over the rest of the season. So I wouldn't look too much into that. It's only on Sky and stuff, I think get to Christmas. It's a cliche, isn't it? But get to Christmas and then you roughly see how it's lying. But so it's nothing to do with points that I think United won't finish in the top 2. It's just literally how they play. And like I say, unless they spent massively on world-class players in January, which not many people do now, do they? I just don't see them. I just don't see them up there right now.
No, I agree. And then if we go across the city to the blue half, Dave, they steamrolled Cardiff 5-0, didn't they?
Yeah, and they looked pretty tasty, didn't they? I think it's a hard one to judge, isn't it? Because I think Cardiff, that's not going to be the last 5-0 they suffer, is it? No. Or not the last beating they'll have. So they're really going to struggle. But I don't know, Silva, Sterling, they just looked really, really quick off the mark and just first to every ball and absolutely clinical. And we've discussed in the past, haven't we, about Aguero and his absolute quality. So if they keep him fit, which he's talking about, he's had this operation in the summer. He feels as good as he has done for years. So that's pretty ominous for everyone else, I think.
I agree. And obviously he's just signed a new contract, which keeps him there till 2021. And envious eyes, Dave, I've always said it. I said it on this podcast. Absolutely great player, Aguero. He's one of them players you don't want to, you want to hate, but you just can't. You've just got to hold your hands up and go, you know what, he's world class. And I don't think Guardiola's given the respect, if I'm being honest, that he deserves, because he's played him a sub a lot last year, which I don't agree with. But then again, that sort of helped other teams have a glimmer of hope, I think. If he played him all season, maybe he might have got injured, to be fair, but he's such a good player. But I've got to say, Dave, on a side note, every time I see Cardiff, I always think whoever cuts Neil Warnock's hair, it looks like a wig. He's got no sideburns. He's got this sort of tucked behind his ears, centre parting. And he's about 65 now. And I don't know what it is. It just looks like someone stuck a wig on his head and he's completely bald, like a Kojak job. I don't know why. Every time I see him there, you're going to have to watch the interview. You'll see it now and go, oh yeah, Christian, he's just got no sideburns. It just looks, I don't know what the haircut is, but it just distracts me from anything he's saying. And plus, I just think he's a championship manager. The Cardiff are just taking the free for all, the umbrella payments at the end of the season. I don't think they're bothered if they get to double figures, if I'm being honest. I think they're just there for the ride, aren't they?
Well, let's see. I mean, there's a lot of Liverpool fans who really don't like Warnock, and because he's had various run-ins over the years. I quite like him though, because you're right. He's a sort of lower league manager, isn't he? But he does do a job, and he does it. He's done it at so many clubs where he's taken a group of players and just got that teamwork going and got them working together, and so. I think they are going to struggle, but it's when it gets to about Christmas. Could he actually get them all gelling and can they learn the lessons? If he can get them organized and at least they can be hard to beat, then they might stand some sort of chance. But I think they are going to struggle for a while, and I'm a little bit surprised Warnock's even doing it. I mean, he doesn't have to, does he? I'm sure he's retired before, but he's just coming back, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Dave, I listened to him on Talk Sport. He was on Alan Brazil's a lot in the morning, and he's quite an articulate guy, very honest. It's just I just don't think, obviously, when he's in manager zone and you don't get the best of him, I don't think, because they've got him beaten somewhere along the lines. Because I don't see him when he's not in the Premiership, so he's always a very innocuous manager, I think, because obviously most of the teams he's managed in the Premiership have gone straight back down. So he's never in a good mood. But as a person, he seems like quite a nice bloke, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, he did all right at Sheffield United, didn't he, for a few years, and then they went down on the last day of the season, didn't they? And
yeah,
pretty unlucky. I think the only time they'd been in the bottom three was like the last 5 minutes of the season or something like that. I remember it was something like that, and it was pretty unlucky. But yeah, certainly, like I say, I wouldn't put it past him to get them playing together, but it's going to be a hard season for them.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Dave, let's move on to your boys. They're doing the business. 3-0 against Southampton.
Yeah, and so with the weather, I kind of thought this might be a potential banana skin. Over the last few years, Southampton have been a little bit of a bogey side, and I think part of that is because we keep stealing all their players. Well, not stealing them, paying a bit of a premium for most of them. But yeah, I've got to say, again, it's September. You don't win anything in September, but they did look pretty good. And the second half was a bit flat, but when you're 3-0 up at half time, you don't really have to. You don't really have to bust a gut, do you? So, I mean, they brought Shaqiri in. So, first start of the season, brought him in midfield, which, Ben and I had a bit of a talk through WhatsApp, and just, I wasn't that sure about him being in midfield. You kind of need that high tempo, that high intensity, and I didn't see Shaqiri as that. But he was the game changer, really. I mean, I had a big hand in the opening goal, and then for Salah's goal as well. So yeah, he at £13 million, he might just be the bargain of the season, I think.
No, and I think, Dave, he's going to win you some games. He won games for Stoke. All right, might not have turned up every game, but they didn't have the supply, did he, or the quality around him. He's played at Bayern Munich, hasn't he? So he's not a poor player. He's a good player. And I think he's going to pop up somewhere on the lines and get you some sort of wonder goal in the last 10 minutes of a game. So I think he'll get you a few points this season. And I agree, what a backup. The only thing I say for Liverpool, and that's not for me being biased, is I think defensively, if the centre-backs get injured, especially Van Dijk, you could be in some problems, because he's such a good player and he's just slotted in there so well, and he's an aerial threat on corners. He just towers above everyone, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, in a different way, he does remind me of Jaap Stam. He's just such a physical presence. And actually, I saw this morning that Arsenal had the chance to sign him when he was at Celtic, but they decided against it because he was too apathetic. But that is the way he plays the game. He just kind of strolls around the pitch, and he doesn't ever look like he's doing that much, but he's just got it all in control. But I think you're right. But, they brought in Matip, yesterday, so his first start of the season as well. Van Dijk actually went off injured, and they brought Gomez in. And I think, again, without, overplaying it and then looking a bit daft in 2 months' time, but at the moment, this 3-year journey that Klopp's been on, it's looking like it is bearing fruit, because he's brought in Gomez, who's 21, 22-ish, and he just looks like a Rolls Royce at the minute. So he came on for Van Dijk, and then we didn't really lose anything. Now, the team lost a bit of momentum. Like I say, they were 3-0 up anyway. But to have Matip and Gomez in there, they didn't look under any pressure either. Now, I heard as well that the whole team is the second youngest in the Premiership. And basically, as well as, Klopp spent a lot of money as well, hasn't he, on individual players. But he's brought through a lot as well, so the likes of Gomez, Andrew Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's brought through and given these young players a chance. And even though they've made mistakes, he's persevered with them. And so it's all that, as well as the high-profile signings, that all just seems to be coming together at the moment.
Yeah. No, that's what it is. It's stable, isn't it, Dave? It's everything's steady, and Klopp seems to let them play, and you're playing good football. So a stark contrast, unfortunately, is what I'm seeing. But at Old Trafford, but yeah, you got to tip my hat to you as well. And to be fair, leading on to the next game, I saw it before. I don't know if you see, it was Chelsea v West Ham, a 0-0. And did you see that Yarmolenko's miss, Dave?
No. So I didn't see this one. So what happened?
Well, I only caught like the last half hour of the game. It was 0-0. I think Chelsea had a couple of chances where Marcos Alonso should have scored. And it was about 75, 76 minutes. Left wing cross comes over. Nice bit of play from West Ham. They're under the cosh a bit. Chelsea was just attacking. Willian was just going down. Hazard, they were just constantly down the wings. And they had the pace. Like Noble was getting absolutely skinned there. He'd had a good game up to that point, I believe. But the legs just got the better. So then Chelsea were having a bit of success. But then West Ham from nowhere broke away. And this lovely ball, left footer. You thought he was offside. He whipped it in on that sort of like the D of the box, and Yarmolenko just broke away from Alonso. I honestly thought he was offside. The ones where you think he's offside. 6 yards out, Dave, it was harder to miss, and he went wide by about 6 inches past the post. How he missed it, the keeper was nowhere. I mean, the whole stadium jumped up. I thought it was a goal, missed it completely, and then at the end there was a couple of chances or half chances for Chelsea, but 0-0, and I think that they dropped a bit of a thingy, Chelsea, because I think they could have gone joint top with you guys.
Yeah, I mean they were top, weren't they? So they were the other team that had 100% record, slightly better goal difference. So that's the first points they've dropped. But it's they often say it's a bit harder for the London teams, isn't it? Because they've got so many derbies.
Yeah.
So, I guess West Ham have not started the season well, but I guess, they've dug in there and given Chelsea a hard time. But I mean, Chelsea they'll still be up there at the end of the season. They've just got too many good players. And I did see that Jorginho had basically in that game, he'd attempted more passes than any other player in the Premiership since Opta Stats began. So he's a good addition to that side, and Kante seems to be let loose a little bit more in that midfield. So yeah, it's 2 points drop for them, but they'll be back to winning ways soon, I'm sure. Yeah,
and I don't think it helps West Ham. And Arnautovic got injured, did he? So midweek in training, so he wasn't playing. But leading on again, Dave, Arsenal against Everton, 2-0 to Arsenal. For me, I get sick of, I know you're a Liverpool fan, you're probably saying, but Everton just annoy me. It just, I don't know what it is. They just annoy me. I mean, obviously not as much as Liverpool or City, but just for the sheer, it's a bit like the West Ham thing when they say, do you play the West Ham way? The West Ham way was from like 1980 and 81 when Trevor Brooking was there, and they live off the coattails. I suppose it's a bit like what we, United, are saying about, play the United way, attacking football. That's long gone. But Everton just frustrate me because they'll get a couple of good players in, and then they just, I don't know, they just stagnate, don't they? The managers just don't. Ever since Moyes left, it's the same formula over and over again. They a terrible start to the season, a good mid-season, then they just peter off towards the end. It just, I don't know what it is when I watch them. You know they're going to get beat when you go to these grounds, especially against Arsenal. They always get the better of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult with Everton, isn't it? So they had the investment last year, and I think some of the fans were getting a bit excited about, you know, how they were going to tear it up in the league, because, you know, they've been so long without having that real serious money that the top clubs can spend. But then they didn't spend it very well. You still have to have some sort of strategy, you know, some way of playing, some philosophy to know what are the right players that are going to work for me. And when I look at that Everton squad, I do see a lot of decent players, but I don't know what they're trying to do. And so, you know, they'll be top 10, won't they?
Yeah.
And they'll get the odd result against the top 4 teams. But, you know, I don't see them doing any more than that this year. So they'll be, you know, where they have been for the last God knows how many years.
No, it's true. And then obviously Spurs went away and did what United couldn't do and done Brighton 2-1. And again, train keeps rolling on for Spurs. And I've had a couple of bad results recently, but they're still a class outfit. And I just think, you know, they'll be top 4 without a doubt. If they're not third, they're going to be 4th at least.
I'm less certain about Spurs than you are, it seems, because I just think with the stadium, you know, they're going to move into that new stadium eventually, and you know, the results, typically we've seen it with lots of teams, haven't we, where the results take a bit of a dip. It takes a while for it to feel like home, and the fact that they didn't bulk up the squad at all. Now, for the first 11, I think they're as good as anyone. But it's you know, what if Kane gets injured?
Yeah.
Or Son or Eriksen? I would say those 3, even more so than Dele Alli. I know Dele Alli chips in with the goals, but those 3, if they go out, I think they're losing a lot, and they don't have the same quality that they can just bring in. So I don't think, I think certainly up to Christmas, Spurs will be right up there. But then, you know, if they get some injuries, I think that's where they'll possibly drop away.
Yeah, good stuff. Now we've got a little. I agree, Dave. I agree, by the way. We've got a little section, best of the rest. There's a couple of results I'll just reel off. I don't think we need to go too in depth. Palace v Newcastle 0-0.
Actually, did you see that Sacco header miss?
No, I've not seen it. No.
Oh, I mean, again, free header inside the 6-yard box. I mean, he was to the side of the goal, but, you know, keeper's beaten by the cross, and he just hits it wide. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And what I would say on that Palace, well, not specifically about Palace, but Wilfred Zaha, obviously ex-United player as well. Have you seen some of the nonsense around him in this last week?
Yeah, I was listening to Talk Sport on Friday, and Jim White, again, who obviously loves just to absolutely slate United and Mourinho, was on again how they didn't protect him, he didn't do this, they didn't do that. And obviously there's a rumour about when he was at United that he'd had a bit with Moyes' daughter and all this stuff, and that's why he wasn't getting picked. And I just think, and all this stuff about being tackled when I want more protection.
Yeah.
I never saw Ronaldo saying he wants more protection. I know there was articles run about him being kicked and stuff, and at one point in the Premiership, I think he's the most kicked player. But Hazard's got to deal with that. Hazard's had this over the last couple of years. He's still world class. Just, I don't know whether he's got the mental toughness, Dave, to go to that next level, if that makes sense. And that's not being bitter, because I think if Fergie had been there, we would have got a tune out of Zaha, definitely, because he was flashes of brilliance when he wanted to play. But I just think he's influenced by the things around him more than what things that are going on the pitch, in my eyes. And he's a big fish in a small pond at Palace, and he should embrace it. But I think he's just, I don't know. He's just, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, someone asked me the other week, they said, is there another player for a team that's as important as Zaha is to Palace? And I was racking my brains and I just couldn't think of one. So he is absolutely, really important for them. But the thing is, when I saw the interview and he was having a bit of a moan about, what do people have to do? It's only a booking, and I look at the tackles and they're solid tackles, but there's no real leg breakers that I see in there. And I just think if you're a Premiership defender and you've got Palace coming up and you see something like that, you think, right, brilliant. We'll get him roughed up, get him a bit riled. And then, he showed against Newcastle, he was really pretty quiet. So I just think it was ill-advised, to advertise that he's obviously feeling a bit, hard done by, not getting enough protection from the referees. But all the top players get those kicks, don't they?
Of course they do, Dave. Of course. I mean, you've seen, as I mentioned, Hazard, Ronaldo, Messi. You've seen them. Because the teams have not got the players to match them, so they've got to do something to nullify that threat, don't they? They're not going to say to him, there's 60 yards worth of space, see what you can do. You know what I mean? We're hoping you're going to have a bad game or something. They're not going to do that. You've got to get tight on these players and give them a whack at you and stuff and put them off the game. So I have no problem with that. I just think, like you say, I think his agent or someone should have said to him, I don't think we should run this, because it's made him look in a bad light, I think, as well.
Yeah, I did see Lineker was saying, you should have tried playing in the 80s. You probably go back even further, don't you? I think each decade, footballers get a bit softer, don't they? And more protection from the referees. Now, I think, conversely, the players are stronger and fitter than they've ever been. So when they do mistime a challenge and fly in, then very easily break your leg. But, there was some roughhouse tactics that the likes of Lineker and Shearer had to put up with.
Oh, of course it is. I mean, nothing beats Steve McMahon, Vinnie Jones in the '88 final, and Steve McMahon. Oh, my word. Was that about 5 seconds in? How's the sending off?
Like that, yeah.
About 5-match ban in this day and age, but in '88, he was just telling off.
Just a free kick, yeah.
Don't do it again, Vinny. Yeah, so, I agree. Next one, Fulham-Watford 1-1. Not really much to say. London derby. I haven't seen any of that, Dave, so I can't really comment, if I'm being honest.
I don't think Watford's technically London, but
Southern
derby.
Close. Don't ruin it for me, Dave. Leicester 3-1 against Huddersfield. I think Leicester have started to get a couple of results now. Huddersfield is just poor, as we've said. I think they'll be there with Cardiff. They're going nowhere. And then my boys, Dave, Fulham, 4-0 against Bournemouth. I mean...
Burnley,
sorry. Talk about Burnley. Burnley, sorry, against Bournemouth 4-0. And one stat I'd seen, which they were saying why they struggled as well, is they've had more shots put on them this season than any other team. And they've had like hundreds of shots peppered at the goal. So it's no wonder Joe Hart's been having a stinker. So I'm just hoping that they plug that gap. And obviously they get up there to prove you both wrong.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. It was a bit of a shocker, this result, when I saw it come through. I mean, they haven't had a great start, have they? But
no.
They're back on track. To me, when I hear stats like that, though, they've suffered more shots. There's something else. There's another reason for that. So are they not competitive enough in closing down the ball? They're allowing these shots to get in. There's something systematic going on there.
Tactically,
I
agree. So moving on from the Premiership, thank God, shall I say, after the night, we're going on to the Carabao Cup this week. Couple of games. There's United derby on Tuesday. Lampard against Mourinho. Obi-Wan against Darth Vader, or Luke v Darth Vader, I suppose. Bit of a bad analogy that day, sorry, but.
Obi-Wan and Luke Skywalker, probably.
Yeah, true. Yeah, master and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from that very quickly. But I've got a feeling Derby might get somewhere. They'll have a full load of fans with them. They'll be in the bottom of the East Stand and the top probably. So that might draw them on. And United have systematically struggled against some of these championship teams in this cup. I remember Sunderland doing it to us a few years ago, and De Gea actually made a mistake and it went in extra time. So I'm not sure. He'll rotate the team, no doubt, but it might be the only way we win something this year, Dave. So he does give it the respect, to be fair, Mourinho, that they deserve the Carabao. I must admit, it's the first trophy we won with United. So
yeah, I often think some of the teams, the likes of Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Leicester, I often think they should take it more seriously than they do. It's a good chance to, it's that first bit of silverware for the season, isn't it? But I was going to ask you, do you think he'll bring the youngsters in, or do you think he'll keep a strong side?
He'll keep a strong side. Honestly, he always has in this. He's quite interesting because Fergie never gave it any respect until it got to like the semi-finals. But I must admit, Dave, I mean, you just did a great comment. I remember that clown Big Sam used to do it when he was at Bolton, and wherever he's been, he drops like 10 players, like, we're concentrating on the league. It's like, you've got no chance of doing anything. Just play your best team. You know what I mean? It's so disrespectful. I understand the bigger teams, you've got Champions League football and that, but come on. I mean, it's City won it last year, didn't they? So it's a way of winning a cup. And we did the year before. I just think go for it. It's disrespectful. And I also think that the FA should get involved and say, right, you can't just systematically change players, or whatever week. I know you're monopolising it in some respects, but you can clearly see if from one week you've gone from Lukaku and then you've got some guy at the reserves playing up front. It's pretty obvious what's going on, because that's what Fergie used to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And United were the first to really do that, weren't they?
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, for me, and I'm a little bit jealous that they're playing Derby at home, because whether he does it or not, he's got the opportunity to bring in the youngsters there. With Liverpool playing Chelsea, he'll probably bring in some youngsters, but I think both sides will still want to win that. Yeah. I quite like seeing some of the young players just coming in and given a chance, and I think some of the teams are actually, they put in, it started, I think, last year, didn't it, where they're putting in under 23 teams.
Yeah.
But so I quite like seeing those young players come in and given a chance, and I think it's a good opportunity for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is what it is, isn't it? I suppose. How do you keep it? Keep it fair for everyone, but everyone has their own sort of targets of the season, don't they? I mean, you're looking at Spurs Watford. That's another sort of standout tie of the round. What's that going to be? I mean, Spurs, like you said, if going off what you believe with Spurs, this might be one of the only trophies they can actually physically win in a one-off game. They are a good cup team, so you could be right, Dave. Maybe Pochettino will go all in. I'm not sure.
I think, the form is typically most of them go with the reserve team, don't they? Yeah. And again, would you want to risk Harry Kane, in this round of the Carabao Cup? What if he breaks his leg or something in this game? I know he could do it in any game, but I think he'll probably rotate for that one. But it is an exciting one. I tell you what, it's more a question for me. What side do Watford put out?
Yeah.
They've started the season well, haven't they? Obviously, they lost to United last week, but apart from that, they've done pretty well. So I think they'll really fancy having a good go at Spurs there.
Yeah, that could be a good game to be. That might actually be more of a game than Liverpool-Chelsea.
Yeah,
depends, doesn't it? It depends what happens. And then on to next weekend. So we've got the big game of the weekend, without doubt, Liverpool-Chelsea. Top of the table. I think that's going to be a cracking game. I fancy you guys to do the business, if I'm being honest, Dave, irrespective of the way Chelsea have started. I just think you've got too much, especially at home. I think at some point Salah's going to click back into gear, and he's still winning, even if he's not playing well. So when he does, I think heaven help everyone else.
Let's see. I think it's going to be fine margins. I could quite easily see all three outcomes for that game. A win, loss, or a draw. It'll be really, really close. Yeah, Salah got one in. He sort of tapped it over the line. But to be fair, he's not been playing badly. He's not been as clinical. But if you look back at this time last year, he wasn't that clinical then either. And he was getting a lot of criticism from Liverpool fans at the time that he should be finishing more, so they all looked a bit daft at the end of the season. But we'll see. He still looks a class act. But again, as I said before, I think Chelsea are really good as well. And so I'm really looking forward to that game. Obviously, I'm hoping for a win for us, but yeah, let's see. It's going to be a really good game, that one.
No, good stuff. And then what we got? Arsenal Watford. So that's another not a derby, Dave, as you just pointed out, but a close-ish one. But Watford could get something out of Arsenal. If they play the right tactic. I think they've got a quick team, fast, energetic. I know Dean, I think he got done over by Fosu Mensah, didn't he, a weekend?
It was a bit naughty, that, actually, wasn't it? It could have quite easily gone off for that challenge.
Yeah, it's a bit naughty. So whether he's going to be fit, I'm not sure with Andre Gray, but that's a interesting one. And I think if Watford score first, it'll be all hands to the pump for Arsenal. So, I mean, Arsenal usually come out of themselves when they're behind, but no, it'll be interesting to see that one. And then we've got United at West Ham. God only knows, Dave. That's all I can say. I honestly don't know. I maybe had to be resignation in next week after the podcast. Ben's going to absolutely revel in this. So I'm not sure what to say because I just don't know what to expect, if being honest.
Well, so it's at West Ham. So you'd expect West Ham to have a little bit more of the ball than if it was at Old Trafford. I don't know. I just think this is the sort of game that Mourinho will churn out a result in.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be fine there. It's like I say, it's when it comes to crunch time. It's when it comes to the teams who do have a genuine plan. And I know West Ham got a result this weekend, but I haven't really seen enough to suggest they've really turned a corner. So yeah, I think United will win that one.
We'll see, Dave. We'll see. Now, I must admit, Dave, I've got all my hands up here in the programme notes. Fantasy football, I've not even been following it. I don't know why. I just completely slipped my mind. But if you want to tell us what's going on, Dave, because even I don't know. So.
Got your finger on the pulse there.
Terrible, absolutely terrible, yeah.
Well, so in our league, then Ben is riding high with 362 points. So he hit the front from that first week, and he's just stormed it ever since. And I kind of mentally looked at his team a few weeks ago, and this weekend I was thinking, oh yeah, he shouldn't have done that well that weekend. And then I look, and he's got that bloody Maddison in there. He's got 16 points this week. It's like, oh, come on. Yeah. So yeah, he's running away with it there. But me and you are 5th and 6th, so we're pretty close. I've got 296 points, and you've got 293. So it's running quite close there. And actually this week, though, the thing that's let me down is who I choose the captain to be. So this is the first week I chose Harry Kane, and he's actually come through with some he's scored and got some bonus points as well. So getting double points for your captain, this is the first week it's actually worked for me. So done quite well there.
I'm going to have to get on it, Dave. I need to get my backside in gear, and I'm going to have a look actually after we finish the podcast and sort my team out. It's terrible. Yeah. I've got a feeling I've got Harry Kane as my captain, and he's been my captain since the start of the season. So yeah, I need to sort that out. I think it's either him or Lukaku. So
yeah, so no, I'm just looking at it now. So you have got Kane, and now to be fair, I mean, Kane broke his duck in August, didn't he? He typically doesn't score through August, but he did do this year, which coincided with when I dropped him as captain. So I'll take a bit of credit for that. But the thing is, this is where Kane starts to hit the front. And he scores a lot of 1 and 2 goals in a lot of the games. So personally, I'll be keeping Kane as the captain. Now, I did have the player that has let me down the most. is Aubameyang. So I had him up front for Arsenal, and he's not done well, but he did score this weekend, so I'm probably going to keep him in there.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Aubameyang. He's such a good player at Dortmund. It's a shame he's just not done it so far in the Premiership.
Well, he came in January, didn't he? And he had a good sort of second half to that season. So I thought he'd hit the ground running this year, but it's just not really happened for him. So it's a new manager, new players bedding in, new way of playing. So I think Arsenal might just get better and better as the season goes on.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think they're going to be far off, Dave, I must admit.
Yeah,
Well, good stuff. Now, as we wrap it up, Dave, have you got any plugs for us?
Yeah, so if you want to go ahead and give a listen to the Grassroots Coach Cast, that's Ben and myself. We'll talk about youth football or youth soccer coaching, and just take it from, just give our perspectives on the different challenges and whatever that we go through there. Chris, what about yourself?
Yeah, we've got mine and your great podcast, Comics in Motion. So if you want to get hold of us, where myself and Dave actually review comic-based media. This week we've reviewed, and I've just put it
Killing
up
Joke.
I just put it up on the pissing bloody iTunes. Well, mine, I've done it. Yes, we've done Batman Killing Joke from 2016. Myself and Dave go through it, act like a pair of little kids reviewing it, and I've an absolute laugh. It's so funny, I must admit. So if you want to get onto that episode, if you just put Comics in Motion in on iTunes or any podcast catching site, and episode 37's up. We absolutely love that podcast. It's so funny. Then Dave's the comic book aficionado. I'm just a film buff, allegedly, but we have a really good time breaking down and talking and reviewing various different things. So if you want to get involved in that, we're on Twitter at Comics in Motion P, or as I said, on iTunes or any other podcast site on Comics in Motion Podcast. And then one other plug, well, maybe two actually, Dave. I'll sleek them in. Contextual Podcast, hopefully we're back this week, episode 50, talking about Pro Evo and other gaming related stuff. And then CPod 78 Vlogs on YouTube is my vlogging channel. So give us a follow on anything else. And that's about it, Dave, for the selfless plugs.
Awesome. So if you want to get in touch with this show, you can get us on Twitter at ChatFooty. Or if you want to email the show, you can get us at chatfootypodcast@gmail.com. Send us some tweets, messages, abuse, all of that stuff's good.
Yeah, always is, Dave. And also, we're opening it out to everyone. We have mentioned it before, but if you do want to come on and just talk with us, there's no restrictions. Anybody and everybody's welcome, no matter what football team. You don't have to be Premiership following team. Just come on and we'll, go through the results as we do and have a chat about your team or whatever. So just get in contact with ourselves.
Excellent. Sounds good. Well, thank you very much, Chris. It's good to be back.
Yeah, and also, Dave, just before we go, there isn't any Fellaini watch because there wasn't anything to watch.
How could I forget Fellaini watch?
Yeah, well, there was no Fellaini watch because I didn't see much of what he was doing that was positive. So other than this new yellow haircut he's got, I think we just end it there, Dave.
Is he trying to do a Valderrama there or what?
I don't know. He played like Rennie Higuita, Dave. I don't know what he was doing yesterday. It's just absolutely garbage. Like, Jesus Christ, he was terrible again. He's been solid in a poor team at the moment, and he's just nothing. I just don't know what he does. You could put a corner flag in the middle of the pitch with an afro on, and you wouldn't tell the difference, Dave. His contribution is terrible.
I just think he's just not really. If we take the various teams you said about Alex Ferguson, Sir Alex Ferguson, and what he did with multiple teams over the years that he was there, over those decades, he's just not anywhere near the midfielders in those top teams. So, I think he is a good, solid Premiership midfielder, but that's it. He should never have been anywhere near a club like United.
Well, I'll put it this way, Dave. It's 1-1, 85th minute. He gets a chance on the edge of the box. You're thinking, curl it. It might not go in, but give the keeper something to worry about. Curl it, top corner, bottom corner. showing the side of your body like you do, open your body out. It was the feeblest shot I've ever seen. The only thing I can take out of Fellaini is he reminds me, and you'll get this reference straight away, Dave, is when you used to read The Dandy of the Beano and you get someone running and they've got that weird thing where the hair's just like as if they've put glue and stuck the hair right back, because when he runs, he reminds me of either a dog or a character out of a cartoon, because his hair, he can never catch anybody, and he's there for his life trying to catch, and it just looks like comedy, just real.
Like a human slinky.
Yeah. It just looks terrible. It's the only thing I get enjoyment I get out of watching him is the way he runs, because he's,
I enjoy watching him for United, to be honest, every week.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Anyway, it's been a great podcast. I just want to thank you. But no, thanks everyone. It's been a great episode. Ben will be loving the Fellaini watch, and we're going to make it more regular. We're back now with a block rocking beat. So, Dave,
cool.
let's go.
No, that's fine. Just cut it there.